So I want you to listen to little rat boy Chrissy Wallace trying to impale Trump on the COVID, as if any politician has any control, when every medical expert in the world knows when a pandemic hits, it's already too late. That's why it's called a pandemic. Go read about the flu of 1918, which they surreptitiously referred to as the Spanish flu. Do you know why? Because every dirty government, especially the United States, under Woody Wilson, Mr. UN boy, League of Nations boy, along with Germany, the other belligerents, Italy. Parlez-vous français? Yeah, French too. How about England? But of course, we can't report about the pandemic. It could start a world panic and so forth. Right? So do you know how many people died in World War I in about 5 years? 37 million. How you effing doing? 37 million. And go read about that war. My grandfather was there with his brother at the Argonne and the Meuse. And us Americans were only there for the last year, just like World War II. Pretty interesting. In Europe I'm talking about. But let me tell you about the Spanish flu. Called the Spanish flu because there was only one government that wrote about it, reported about it, and didn't bar their media. In America, land of the free, Woodrow Wilson would have charged you with the Sedition Act. They made a proclamation. No right of habeas corpus. If you spoke about the influenza pandemic of 1918, you were summarily put in a dungeon. That was here in America. That was a liberal Democrat called Woodrow Wilson. Yeah, don't believe me, look it up. But the Spaniards, not in the war, had no dog in the fight. So, kind of like Trump, he can't be bought. The Spanish couldn't be bought. They didn't need nothing. So they told the truth. And because they reported it, it was called the Spanish flu. That killed 3 to 4 times as many people as died in 5 years of World War I. So take all the bombs and cannons and tanks and machine guns and barbed wire and Mausers and Schnauzers and, Browning automatic weapons and all the death and carnage. 37 million. Bad as that is. Spanish flu killed somewhere, some as low as 50 million, some say as high as 110 million. But it killed them in 1 year. Now, guess what? This corona is related to the same Spanish flu. There's no cure for this type of virus. There's no cure for it. You try to get a vaccination and you try to mitigate it as best you can. The greatest single act of mitigation was cutting China off from bringing any more infected commissars to the United States. And you know what, Joey Biden and all these retards like Chris Wallace? Oh, Trump's a racist. Everybody to Chinatown. Egg full young on me, right? Bullshit artists. Because they try to cure everything through their political bullshit. And they're not looking to cure anything. They just want to capitalize. So you'll be good little communist. And one day they will tell you, comrade, we can keep disease from killing you. Yeah? How'd that work out in Russia? They're full of crap. This is about control. Put on mask. Don't leave house. You remember that Yakov Smirnoff comedian? We don't have American Express card. Don't leave home without it. We have Russian Express card. It simply says, don't leave home. See? That's the ethos of a communist tard. And that's what little Chrissy Wallace is. Little Chrissy Wallach.
Entering the final turn and approaching the light at the end of the tunnel. That's the way I look at it.
Watch. Listen.
The single worst day of the pandemic, and the president says we're entering, or we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. What is he talking about?
Let me tell you, schmuck boy, what he's talking about is we now have enough different weapons to mitigate the disease. You stupid little lying weasel, rat bastard communist. Okay? And the worst day, statistically, how do you count statistics, commie boy? It wasn't in deaths. It was in infections. Infections are nowhere near the threat they were even 6 months ago. You know that, you little rat bastard, weasel lion sack of shit. So let me help you out, Chrissy. Very few people statistically are dying relative to the prodigious numbers of people that are showing up infected. 6 to 7 months ago, the percentage of people who died from the COVID compared to who was being discovered that they had it was prodigious. It is no longer prodigious. It's like batting 0.08% death rate. So stop lying, you little douchebag, and start telling the truth.
Well, Chris, as you know, we have a vaccine on the horizon. There are many, many trials that are in phase 3. We're getting closer and closer to that vaccine. Obviously, the testing has ramped up. The therapeutics are working well. Mortality rates are down. So we are seeing light at the end of the tunnel.
See, but that's what I'm saying. Thank you, darling. She's telling the truth. But little douchebag boy, little communist Chris Wallace, interrupter, the little gnome, Chris Wallach, right? He can't stand it. He can't stand the truth. And if Obama was president, let me tell you what would have happened. We'd have had 2 million people dead, and he would have blamed it on China. He would have said, hey, I would have cured the disease, but the goddamn Republicans wouldn't let me. So let's cut the bullshit. The only grown-up in the room since this started has been Trump. And he was right to not create a panic. Don't you remember how the shelves in the stores were all empty? Don't you remember little Goomba Fauci? You don't need a mask because it's not a debate. It's going to be over in a few days. You don't need a mask. So if you listen to me, Bachagalupa Fauci, then you got to understand that in a couple of months, it's going to be all good. And besides, we need the masks and the PEDs for the front line of workers. That was the reason why Trump and even little Geppetto Fauci said what they said about not wanting to create a panic, because the hospital workers were already running short. And until we ramped up, but let me tell you the dirtiest of all of this. It was the dirty Democrats, the Hillary Clintons. I never had sex with that woman, Miss Monica Lewinsky. Yeah, they put our what's in China. So we had to depend on Chi-Com, sleazeball, communist gangsters to supply us with pharmaceuticals, medical equipment, and to quote Andrew Cuomo, I need ventilators. We got to have more ventilators. I don't know. I'm investing in solar panels. It's paying me 33%. Who wants to buy ventilators? Right? Let's stop the bullshit and tell the truth. You libtards created this in every single aspect. You did this. You sowed the wind, and us, the schmuck people, are reaping your whirlwind because you wanted to make millions in China. Just look at dirty Joe Biden and little hunting for a better deal Hunter, right? And Joey's dirty brother and all the rest of the dirty traveler Biden family. Peaky Blinders, that's what they are. Live with it, die with it, right, Joe? You scumbag lying Biden. Good night, everyone.